Welcome to my kitchen, my friends. You're watching my channel Path of Khan, and I'm your host Fateh Khan. Today I'm going to share with you a very simple, easy recipe about how to make challah bread. Challah bread is a traditional Jewish bread, and Jewish folks make it on Shabbat, on Fridays. It's a very simple, easy to follow recipe. I used to live in Brooklyn, New York, very close to 13th Avenue. 13th Avenue is known also as Little Israel because on either side of 13th Avenue, a lot of Jewish folks live there. If you happen to visit New York or if you happen to be in the neighborhood, I strongly recommend that you pay a visit to 13th Avenue. There are a lot of good Jewish restaurants, Jewish bakeries, Jewish grocery stores. It's a very peaceful, calm, warm community. Um, if you are at 30th Avenue, you will see Jewish folks in their traditional religious clothes walking around. Very peaceful, nice place to visit. I used to visit a lot. I used to go there, eat a lot at Jewish restaurants. I used to go to Jewish bakeries, and that's where I purchased my first challah bread. That was about 20 years ago. Since then, I have been baking challah bread at home, and I just love this bread. It's a perfect bread to make French toasts, or you can make, you can use it to make sandwiches. You can even, just eat it as it is. Let's start baking, or let's start cooking. So in a stand mixer bowl, we're gonna add half a cup of warm water, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. We're gonna mix it up, stir it for a few seconds, and then set it aside for 5 minutes or until it foams. In a separate bowl, we're gonna crack up 2 eggs, and then we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. You can add 2 or 3, it's up to your taste. And then we're gonna add half a cup of good olive oil, about half a cup of sugar, and then 1.5 cup of warm water. So stir up, mix up this mixture well. And then we're gonna mix these two mixtures, egg mixture, and into our yeast mixture. We're gonna make sure that all the ingredients go into that combined mixtures. And then into this mixture, we're gonna add 7 cups of white all-purpose white flour. You can also use bread flour, but I prefer white flour. It makes the bread a little bit less dense. So transfer this ball to a stand mixer and then let the mixer do most of the kneading. Let it run for about 10 minutes. You can change the speed to slow to medium high depending upon the need. And if needed, you may have to add, depending upon the day's humidity, you may have to add a little bit more flour. So once the dough forms into a ball, we know that the dough is ready. Let it mix for a few minutes, and then we will know when the dough is ready to come out. So it's getting into a ball form, and we know that it's almost ready. Okay, so it's time to take the dough out of the stand mixer. You can use a plastic spatula to take the dough out. On a separate bowl, grease the bowl either with butter or with olive oil or any vegetable oil, and then transfer we will transfer our dough to the grease ball, but before that we're gonna knead the dough a little bit for a few minutes, about 5 minutes. We're gonna make sure that the dough is into a well-rounded ball so it rises properly. So we're gonna knead the dough with hands for about 5 minutes. So you can use that technique by pull the dough with one hand and push it with the other, and you can keep repeating this process for about 5 minutes until the dough is elastic. So once it's almost ready, you can fold the edges of the ball and make it a good ball, and then transfer this dough into a ball and make sure both sides of the ball are coated with oil. And we're gonna cover it with a plastic wrapper, and then we're gonna set it aside for about 2 hours or until the dough doubles in size. So let it aside in a separate, warm, humid place for about 2 hours. So our dough has risen and it's poking time. Poke, poke, poke. The purpose of this is to get all the gases out of the dough. And then we're going to make sure that the dough is again free of as much gases as possible. So we're gonna fold the dough again, make it a good round ball, and then we're gonna let it rise for another, this time we're gonna just let it rise for about 40 minutes. This is going to be our second rise. So now the dough has risen the second time, and now we are ready to transfer this ball into a braided bread. So here I'm trying to take any gas in the dough, and then I'm gonna cut the dough into 4 equal pieces. And before I do that, I'm gonna just knead the dough for a couple of minutes and let it free of all the gases so it cut nicely into the number of pieces that I want it to be. So I am planning to make a 4 breaded dough. 4 breaded bread. 4 braided bread. So let's cut into 4 equal pieces, and then I'm gonna make a long strand out of one piece. So you're gonna need some friction, a little bit of friction on your countertop or your working surface, working table. Too much friction may let the dough stick to the countertop, so just a good amount of friction is needed. And if it sticks too much, you can use some flour. So about, I would say, 1.5 foot or 2 foot long strand would be good. So here I have one strand ready, one braid ready, and then I'm gonna repeat the process with the other pieces of dough. So here I have 4 pieces, and then I'm gonna pinch all these 4 pieces, one end of all these 4 braids together. And then in this video, I'm just gonna show you how to make a 4 braided bread, Challah bread. And then in my next video, I'm gonna show you how to braid these braids. if you're a starter, if you have never braided a bread, you may want to start with the three braids. I have found that three braid are the easiest one to work with to start with, and then you can move on to four braids. So it gets kind of sometimes confusing, but as you can see, I have to think with each move. But in my next video, I'll show you how to make a three braids breads, how to make a four braid breads, or even five or six braid breads. So here I am done with braiding the dough, and then I'm going to transfer it into a baking sheet and cover it with the wrapper and let it aside for about 40 minutes or so until I see that the dough has risen to almost double in size. After it has doubled in size, I'm gonna coat the dough with one beaten egg, and just make sure that it is coated well and the whole surface is coated with the beaten egg. It would help the bread while it's baking. It would avoid any cracking while it's baking in the oven. So in the meantime, we're gonna preheat the oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. We are going, if you like, you can sprinkle some sesame seed on the bread and then place the bread in the oven. And we're going to bake it for about 40 to 50 minutes until it is golden brown, or until the inside temperature of the bread is about 200 degrees. So this is my final product. See how beautiful it looks. Let's slice out one piece and see how does it look from inside. It looks beautiful. It looks delicious. It smells nice. It's just one of the best bread that you can have. It's sweet, it's fluffy, it's tasty. My God, it's beautiful. You wanna have this bread for your breakfast, for it's kind of all-purpose. It's my all-purpose bread. So I hope you like my video, and if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe my channel, and thank you for watching.